Om. Om. Sahana vavatu, Sahano bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya Tasmai Namaswami Tapovanaya. Hari Om. Today we are going to reflect upon a very important lesson from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In fact, we can say this sloka or this lesson can be considered as the essence of the Gita, and therefore the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita loaded in one verse. One of the most impactful, profound, loaded sloka in the Bhagavad Gita found in chapter 18, which is the final chapter, the concluding chapter, the summary chapter. So this sloka is a concluding summary teaching of all the lessons of the Gita. Okay, enough of the hype now. What is it? So this is chanted also after all the, the entire Gita Parayanam, or when we sit for our Bhiksha, for our meals, we say the Brahmarpanam Brahmavihi, and then we say Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyaha Mokshayishyami Ma Shucha. So this sloka is so deep and so well placed as the final concluding sloka, gives enough room the way it is worded. Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So there are three instructions. One is Parityajya, to give up something. And Sharanam Vraja, Vraja, to move or to hold on to take up something. So Bhagavan is asking to give up something, at the same time to take up something else. It's just not a negative instruction, but there is also a positive instruction to it. And then Ma Shucha, be free, don't worry. And in the middle, there is a promise. Aham tva sarva papebhyaha mokshayishyami. So three things for us to do. Actually, are there three different things or it's just one thing? We will see. And then there is Bhagavan's promise also that he will take care of everything else, of liberating us. Okay. And the words like dharman, paritya, what does parityaja mean? What does sarva dharman here mean? Mam ekam sharanam vraja means take refuge in me. So what does that mean? What does Bhagavan mean when he says take refuge in me? And what kind of refuge? There are different interpretations possible. So we can say a lot of commentators have given a lot of different interpretations to this sloka. We will see that in depth today. So basically, the literal meaning goes, Sarva Dharman Parityajas, renouncing all dharma, take refuge in me, Lord alone. I shall free you from all sins and do not grieve. That is the literal meaning. Right? So, when we take it too literally like that, and when Bhagavan says give up all dharma, dharma here can include adharma also, all rights, all duties, everything, and take refuge in me alone, it sounds like He is asking Arjuna to take up sannyasa, to give up everything and just take up sannyasa. Just think, surrender in me and think of me alone. Just revel in that knowledge that I have given you. Try to abide in it. Take up sannyasa dharma, do sarva karma sannyasa, because he's saying, give up all dharma and I will take care of everything else and you will be liberated. Do not worry. Do not be anxious about anything, even about your worldly sustenance. It may look like that. And if it looks like, when we interpret it that way, it seems quite contradictory to what Bhagwan began with and has been stressing, emphasizing all along to Arjuna. Arjuna wanted precisely this only. He wanted to give up the war. He wanted to give up his Kshatriya duty, take up sannyasa, just abide in that knowledge, live as a bhikshu, as a monk. That's what he wanted to do. And Bhagwan chided him when he said that. He said, how can you run away from your duties? Give up the weakness of your heart and get up, be a man, be a Kshatriya, take ownership, carry out your responsibilities and duties. That's what he's been trying to tell Arjuna all along. And again at the end, Bhagwan now says, okay, but the duty has not been done, isn't it? If the duty was done and then Bhagwan says, okay, after doing your duty, after this war, then you do this. It seems like an immediate instruction. So are these really contradictory? So what should Arjuna do? But after that, Arjuna doesn't seem confounded anymore. After this teaching, it looks contradictory to us. It may confuse us, but Arjuna seems to be clear because he says, Nashto moha smritir labdha. All my confusions are gone and I've got back my memory of who I am, what am I to do. I'm very clear about it. And now I'll do what you say. Right? So this room for all these different interpretations makes it a very interesting sloka. And it has to be understood very well and at different levels. Very beautiful, different interpretations also can be taken, reflected upon and assimilated. So dharma we have seen is a very profound word, isn't it? It can mean what? Just duties. It can mean religious rights. It can mean religion and religious rights and sadhanas. So sarva dharman parityaja means, does he mean give up duties, give up sadhanas and religion or religious rights? It could mean virtues, good virtues, noble acts and deeds like seva, charity, and so on. Does it mean Bhagavan is saying give up those? Dharma, the highest sense, can mean the Lord himself, give up me, give up God. Is it what he's saying? We also know dharma means essence of a thing. What makes a thing that thing without which the thing cannot be it, isn't it? So here, dharma, does it mean swadharma, one's essential nature? Can the nature, one's own nature, be given up at all? So what does Bhagwan mean? Or it means punya karma, good deeds. Give up adharma, one can say. Give up dharma. Give up duties, give up punya karma, give up religious rights and sadhanas or your religion. Give up God, give up your nature and natural, your inclinations, your swadharma, your prakriti. None of this meaning seems right when you say sarva dharman parityajya. How it can be given up? So we have to understand what Bhagwan means by this complete surrender. So the entire Bhagavad Gita begins with Arjuna's surrender to Sri Krishna in Sloka 2.7, isn't it? He said, Karpanya dosho abhagata swabhavaha pricchami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha yachreyasas nishitam bruhitanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Which is Shreyaha, that you tell me, I have come to you as a student, so instruct me. As a student, he surrenders to Shri Krishna, calling him as Guru and asking him to instruct him of what is the absolute good for him at this point. He did correct diagnosis of his situation then. Dharma sammuda chetaha, I'm deluded about dharma. I'm deluded. What is my dharma at this point? And therefore, consequently, I'm in a shoka, this karpanya dosha, this misplaced compassion and sorrow, and it's very overwhelming. My own swabhava as a brave, fearless, aggressive Kshatriya warrior, unflinching warrior, that swabhava seems to be shaken, and I'm sorrowing, I'm grieving because of this delusion. So the correct analysis of his position, the cause of his problem, he has analyzed up to a certain point. He knows he's very confused and he needs directions, and very openly, with all humility, surrendering his ego, he asks Bhagwan, please instruct me. He doesn't say, do it for me. He says, instruct me. Shadi Mam means instruct me about the absolute good. Nishchitam Bruhi. May I be convinced about what you're telling. Remove away all my doubts and all my confusions, and give me this dhrida, nischaya, conviction and knowledge, clarity of knowledge. Instruct me, I shall do it. I shall do as you say. That is the surrender. So he began with the surrender, with Arjuna's surrender. Bhagavad Gita, following that only, Bhagavan gave his instructions. Until then, he didn't speak a word. Only thing he gave him a slap kind of thing, a rebuttal, saying, what is this you're saying? You will not do your duties. What do you mean by that? Give up your weakness and get up and do your duty. Be a warrior, be a man. That's what he said initially. Did not really instruct him until this surrender of Arjuna. After which we know all the entire Bhagavad Gita started with Nanu Shochanti Panditaha till this Ma Shucha. Don't worry. Again, here he says, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. If Arjuna started with surrender, why is again Bhagavan Shri Krishna asking him to surrender now? He had already surrendered, no? Yes, Arjuna had surrendered to quite some level, decent level where Bhagavan Shri Krishna can start his discourse. But it was not a complete surrender, because even after that, we know through Sanjaya's sloka, giving Arjuna's plight, after saying this and surrendering, he still says, Na yotsya eti govindam uktva tushni babhuva. After the surrender also, he said, I'm not going to fight, and giving up his Gandiva, he sat in the chariot very quietly. Tushni babhuva, he became quiet. After the surrender sloka, still he had this insistence. Guruji beautifully says, surrender and insistence cannot go together. He surrendered, but yet he said, I'm not going to fight. Come what may. And renounced or threw away his Gandiva and sat quietly. But there was some surrender. It was a partial surrender. Now what Bhagavan means by this complete surrender starts with surrender and ends with complete surrender, partial surrender to full surrender. What is the secret of surrender? What is this art of surrender? Everywhere in between throughout the Gita also, Bhagavan talks about this art of surrender. What is that? And what is this dharma that Bhagavan Shri Krishna asks Sarva Dharman Parityaja? What does it mean? Right? So the surrender that Bhagavan talks here is not a passive submission or a withdrawal or a resignation that the word may suggest. In English, that is the problem with the language. Okay. Sharanagati or Sharanam, when we say in Sanskritam, it does not mean the passive surrender, submission, resignation. It is not a kind of a confession to the Lord saying, oh Lord, I'm incapable, I'm helpless, pathetic, I'm incapable, impotent. You take me and do everything. please save me, oh Savior, I'm impotent. That is not the kind of a word, that's not the meaning. Superficially, literally, when we translate it as surrender, it may mean like that. Give up your weapons and surrender, like some submission, something passes, something negative, isn't it? But that Sharanagati or Sharanam in Sanskritam, when we say, it's not that kind of a confession or a supplication, a prayer for additional help or confessing, I'm a sinner, I can't do, I'm just giving up, just take me and do everything. It's not that. So this positive surrender, this very active surrender, Sharanagati, Sharanam, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, when Bhagavan says, it is like that of a conscious merging of our will with the will of the Lord. As in when the rivulet, a stream, goes and joins with the main river, does it become passive or more active? When it loses its individual identity as such and such a stream, does it become bigger, more powerful, more massive, more capable, more effective? Or is it simply a passive surrender doing nothing at all? That's the question. That's the difference. It is like that. It is like that of merging one's individuality with the totality. Surrendering one's individual likes and dislikes, one's individual decisions. Surrender also is a decision. To follow someone's will is also a decision. But here, the difference is of the individuality, the ego. So let us see, of all the interpretations of dharma, what can be really given up? One can give up only what one has, isn't it? I cannot say I give up this house, this office building. It doesn't belong to me. I'm in a rented place. How can I give it up? Right? So what I possess alone can be given up, not someone else's or something that doesn't belong to me. I cannot give up. So when I say, can it be taken as giving up one's body, mind, intellect? The body, mind, intellect, it seems like it belongs to me, my body, my mind, my intellect. It seems like that. But can they be given up? Can these upadhis be literally given up? Then that would mean commit suicide or give up your body, give up your life. Isn't it? Can that be the instruction of Bhagavan? After giving up the body, mind, the equipments, what can one do at all? Give up everything and reach me means that cannot be the meaning. And it cannot be given up because it really does not belong to us. These are made of 5 elements. The 5 elements don't belong to us. Even we know law. By law also one does not have the right to take one's own life. Isn't it? So truly speaking, this upadhis, although it seems like my body, I have certain ownership, these things really don't belong to me. I have no right over this. I do to a certain extent, but I cannot give it up because it does not truly belong to me. It's made of these elements. It has come from God. It has, my parents would say it belongs to them. My spouse would say it belongs to them. The society may say, my boss may say, my children may say. There is a shared responsibility out of this equipment, which does not give me the right to give it up physically. It does not belong to me entirely to be given up also. So what can be given up then is my false notions, my identifications with this, my likes and dislikes, my ego, my limited individuality with this body, mind, intellect alone can be given up. See, the nature of a thing, the dharma of a thing also, actually, there can be described in 2 different ways, essential nature and non-essential nature. For example, if we take fire, a flame, its essential nature is that of heat and light. You cannot say of a flame or fire which is cold and dark. Something that is cold and dark cannot be fire at all. So the essential nature is heat and light. But the color of it and the vigor of it, or the length and the height of the width of the flame, the appearance of it, all those things keep changing. They are the non-essential nature of the fire. Whether it is a small spark or the sun or the camphor fire or the fire flame from a candle or a lamp wick, all those things which makes it bright or dull or varying colors, steady or flickering, whatever it may be, those things are not the essential nature of that flame, of that fire. And so those things they are always changing. Okay. So similarly, when I say Sarva Dharman Parityajya, and Bhagavan says, what is the essential nature? What is the non-essential nature? The non-essential nature, the lower nature, and identifying with this, with these upadhis and conditionings, the false identification, that is to be given up. So not literally giving up my upadhis, not literally giving up this body, mind, intellect, which is not actually possible, which is not right, because I don't have ownership over them. It cannot be given up, should not be given up. But my false identifications with these things should be given up in the seat of meditation, dhyana, as Gurudev beautifully explains the process of meditation there, uplifting ourselves, giving up this false notion that I am this body, mind, intellect. This is my lower nature, my non-essential nature. I do have a role in this. I have to identify it and identify with it in a certain way and use it as equipments for doing certain things, for accomplishing certain things, to outgrow them, to outgrow my dependence on them. But these equipments are not me, myself. So the the properties of this body, mind, intellect, the actions of this body, mind, intellect do not affect me, the pure consciousness, the pure awareness, the illuminator, the enlivener, the witness. This is the Prakriti. All these actions and all these changing non-essential qualities belongs to this Prakriti. So with this understanding, giving up my false identifications of this individuality, of this petty ego, and surrendering completely to Mam Ekam Advaitam, the non-dual Sachidananda Swarupa, Advayam. When one sits like that in the seat of meditation, one essentially also can have, anxieties. What is going to happen? A kind of fear. Okay, is the body going to drop? What will happen? Such kind of fear, such kind of feeling lost, a sudden dark void or a wall one is facing. So many kind of anxieties and things can come when one tries to live that highest truth. Even as one reflects and inquires into this truth, that kind of an anxiety or a fear will come. If one is truthfully inquiring into this, then suddenly, oh, what is this false? Even this body is false. This person lying next to me doesn't exist. What does it mean? How can I really give up? What does all this mean? Some kind of fear. How am I going to live after this? What should I do or not do? Okay. That kind of an anxiety, of a fear, of a void feeling may come during meditation or reflection and inquiry, just trying to live that truth, absorbing and assimilating that highest truth. So what he says, aham tva sarva papebhyaha mokshishyami. Meaning, I will deliver you, I will save you from all these sinful tendencies, And sinful tendencies here means what? Again, all these weaknesses of your equipments, which cause these attachments again and again, these unnecessary fears and anxieties, which cause these attachments again and again. I will free you from that. I will take care of all those things. Do not worry. Do not worry. That's the promise. So just sit there in meditation, be free, and just get lost in that truth, in that highest truth that I have taught you. Don't worry at all about this lower nature, about what might happen to this lower nature or the sinful tendencies of the lower nature, which causes anxieties and keeps pulling you away and causing these distractions and temptations. Just be there, be still, just be you. And hold on to me, this Advayam, this pure consciousness. Keep striving at it. I will take care of everything else. Be free, don't worry. Whatever effort, there is nothing, you cannot fail in this. You cannot ever fail in this. Just try. Keep doing this, persist, and I will help. Because they what? I'm there to help. Success is guaranteed. Such a reassuring sloka. Huh? For a true aspirant, that is the final step when he sits there in the seats of meditation, this clinging on to this lower nature, the Prakriti, and its cravings and its anxieties, those unnecessary fears, those distractions. Give up that petty individuality of yours and merge your individual identity with that of me, the Advayam Ekam Parabrahmam. I am there to take care of all of the rest of your distractions or these anxieties or these lower temptations that can happen. And be free, don't worry. You will succeed. Success is the only destination for you because I am there, I am the process, and you will merge with me at the end. That is the promise. That is the promise. But at the practical level also we will see. Because now Arjuna cannot drop everything and sit in meditation and do that Sharanam there. Right? So what does it mean? This is as the final sadhana. We saw, no? Bahiranga sadhana, Antaranga sadhana, and Sakshat sadhana. Bahiranga sadhana, all the external limbs, all the steps of bhakti yoga, karma yoga, doing your duties, bhakti sadhanas, everything. Antaranga sadhana, internal sadhana, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, Shravana, Manana, and of the Jnana yoga, of which the Nididhyasana or Dhyana is the Sakshat sadhana, the immediate. Okay. So immediate sadhana is this. But to get ready for that, when we are doing karma yoga and bhakti yoga, that time also how to interpret this and follow this. While following bhakti, what does this mean? Sarva dharman parityajya, mamekam sharanam vraja. What does it mean? For a true bhakta, there is no concept of dharma and adharma only. Meaning, for him, everything is Lord's will, Lord's whatever God has sent, God sent only. So for him, there is no concept of this is a suffering that has come or this is a gift that God has given. Everything is considered as God's gift. So while following bhakti sadhana, what does here ekam, mam ekam sharanam vraja mean? That unswerving, in many ananyas chintayanto mam, ananya bhakti, non-dual bhakti, ekam sharanam vraja. We have seen this several times before. Ananya bhakti means what? It is only the Lord I seek and not anyone else, nothing else. When that kind of surrender is there, intense thought of bhakti towards the Lord. Intense devotion. That is surrender. Seeing the Lord in everything around us, in every being around us, in every act, in every situation. One is sick? Okay. Nothing to worry about. God sent His will. Let it be. This again is not a passive, it's not a passive submission here. Oh God, I am incapable. Please help me. Not like that. Acceptance and just intense gratitude or thought of the Lord alone. Because it's not thought of, it's not considered as a as a punishment for anything sinful done. It's all considered only as gift of God. It's His doing. Everything is for my well-being. Let it be. Let it be. Okay. In the bhakti itself, while is in the bhakti yoga, so many distractions may come in the form of, as one gets better in the sadhanas and one attains a certain kind of mastery over the sadhanas, some siddhis may happen. One gets better in concentrating on particular uh, goals and is able to achieve better. Certain siddhis are possible. Their personality becomes a certain way very attractive. So these can become these small accomplishments, these small siddhis, the ability to remember, concentrate, or achieve something, or the kind of personality, the sweetness, the love that oozes out, all the kind of attraction that happens as a consequence, all this can lead to a certain kind of pride. A distraction can happen. Oh, now I'm the center of attention. I'm able to do all these things. Very nice. A certain kind of ego, pride can arise. And one may get lost in those distractions of sadhanas. One might get so attached to the sadhana itself that one is not able to give up that, whether it is saguna upasana or a japa or whatever it is, the sadhana. There's so much attachment to the means itself and so much pleasure that comes from the means itself, so much small perks that come, the feeling of goodness, happiness, the dopamine effect or whatever it is, that there is addiction to this itself and one stops there. So this can be taken up in the bhakti yoga as giving up all those attachments to the sadhana, that kind of pride one may feel, the lower motivations for siddhis. Okay, stop getting attached to the means. Don't keep reveling in the lower nature, the non-essential, or get sidetracked. Even that you do only to please the Lord. Even the bhakti sadhana is to please the Lord alone. Surrendering everything to Him, and one realizes that Lord does mysteriously take care of everything. Of yoga kshemam vahamyaham, He had said, no, everything He takes care. The bhakta is at such a complete surrender. Sometimes it may seem very dangerous for him, but from all dangers he is protected, he's saved, and all its needs are taken care of. That's what his promise. Aham tua sarva papebhya mokshayishyami. I will take care of all your previous karma and whatever you have to go through because of that. All these things are taken care of by me. Just in that kind of complete surrender, you just revel without any worry. That intense thought of God here is, and basking in His presence. That is considered here as Sharanagati in Bhakti Yoga. And in Karma Yoga, we have seen in great detail all this time. We know that in Karma Yoga, what it means is to surrender to the will of the Lord and to do anything, those duties, those sadhanas, or some noble work, seva, charity, everything only to please the Lord. Because when it comes to duties, we know that there can be a lot of conflicts and contradictions, doubts and confusions, because each one has various roles, multiple roles to perform. So one's duty Sometimes, as a spouse, may seem to be contradicting with one's duty as a daughter. Such situations happen, no? Mother is also unwell. Mother has to be taken care. Child has to be sent to school, or child's education is there. Whether I stay there and take care of my children and education, or give up all that and come and take care of my mother, what do I do? Or do I send my mother to some place where she can be taken care of, just pay and take care of that financially, which is right, lot of multiple roles, various responsibilities. So a lot of confusions can happen, conflicts and contradictions do happen, and we feel like a miserable failure most of the times, despite striving our best to fulfill all our various roles and to keep everybody pleased. One has to fulfill the role as a teacher, or as a, whatever role one is playing in the institution, in the society, and in the community, in the nation, in the family. The family also has different multiple roles. Striving day and night to do these duties, one still feels very unfulfilled and as a complete failure. Most of us do feel like that sometimes. Why? Because we that is because of our wrong identity. We try to please this person, that person, the boss, the children, the husband, the mother-in-law, the mother. Then these confusions will happen. Then this kind of failure, the feeling of getting lost, all this can happen. When I know very clearly my primary identity is with that of the Lord, all the secondary identifications of all these various relationships and everything, okay, are only secondary. It is God alone who has come as all these things. Okay, and I have to please only the Lord, not so and so. So when someone gives a remark also, okay, you keep doing for your own maternal house, you don't take care of those in this house to whom you are married to, you have failed as a mother or failed, those kind of remarks, because you are not expecting to please them and get their thank you or rewards. It can be vice versa also, whatever it means. But when you have Lord as the altar and you're trying only to please him, doesn't mean you do all the other duties or shirk from your responsibilities. But you are not doing those duties for the sake of those duties or for pleasing those entities. Right? So when that is done, there is a certain fulfillment. There is no need of worry. Again, Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are not completely different. The element of devotion is there in both because Ishvara Arpana Buddhi is here. So like we've seen in the past also, like the rain-bearing clouds, they clear up our vasanas and all our sins and make us more and more pure, settled. The situations, the whole world, the universe, the duties, families, everything will pave way for us to abide in the self-knowledge. That is the Lord's promise when he says, I will take care of everything else. Just do this. Being me as the altar, through your duties, worship me and try to please me alone. See, when we say Swadharma, right? So, in the interpretation of Dharma can also be Swadharma. When we say Swadharma, this topic has come before. What do we mean those by our own nature, those innate tendencies, inclinations, right? And where do all these things, these innate tendencies, inclinations, all this reside? All these reside in the mind. Mind. Mind is where my innate likes and dislikes, my innate nature, my tendencies, my inclinations, as vasanas express as desires or hatreds, as love, as attachment, all these things at the mind level. So sarva dharman parityaja means also what? To give up the mind, to give up your swadharma means to give up the mind, which we know is not possible. It's not possible that way. So how to give up? That is what can be best understood with this illustration. In Ayurveda and so many medical science, they say the best course to get rid of a disease is to go through without taking medicines to suppress the symptoms or this or that. Go through the disease and you get better immunity and free of the disease also. That way only we can handle our swadharma, our mind, our innate tendencies and duties. Go through your swadharma in the form of performing your duties. Let it not affect you too much. Your medicine is what? Thought of the Lord, love, devotion for the Lord. That's all. நன்றே செய்வாய் பிழை செய்வாய் நானோ இதற்கு நாயகமே. Right? Now, God, you have given this equipment. Through this, you are doing the good or bad. How does it belong to me? Will I become the hero or the villain? No. So this is not a helpless, passive, submissive surrender, as in the literal sense of the English word. When we mean of surrendering to the Lord's will, Sharanagati, it is all these interpretations. In Bhakti, it is seeing the God's presence everywhere, God's will everywhere, God's act everywhere, His hands in all the circumstances and situations. Nothing is seen as a punishment or as a sin or as a dharma or as a suffering. There is no hate towards anyone. And only intense love, unswerving love, ananya bhakti, devotion towards Lord. There is no worry. God does take care of all our yogakshema and everything else. This is the promise. In Karma Yoga also, so many dharmas, because of my conflicting roles and responsibilities, seems like, no, I'm not trying to please anyone of this world, only the Lord. When my altar is the Lord, and I don't shirk off my responsibilities, but only keep doing whatever comes to me to the best of my knowledge, then automatically the confusions are cleared. It will be cleared because you are surrendering only to the Lord. Then there is no like and dislike. I'm doing this because I like this person better than that person. Therefore, I'm doing to please the Lord alone. So therefore, all these conflicts and confusions will be cleared automatically. That is the promise of the Lord. You think of me and do everything, what confusion or doubt or what sin you may commit, nothing will happen. I will take care. You will grow out of all your swadharma, all your innate tendencies, inclinations, those deep vasanas which keeps purging as desires. Oh, I can sing very well, I can speak very well, I can do this kind of work very well. All that desires, the host of desires that keep coming from our innate tendencies, this mind, all these lurking things which keeps coming up, when I keep doing all my duties, all this will be, as one goes through the disease of life, through this, it gets washed away. So that's what is through Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, we already saw. In that seat, don't have those fears or anxieties. Just give up all this attachment to the lower nature of Prakriti, body, mind, intellect, this limited individuality. I'm not that. God has said, Krishna has said, I'm going to sit and abide in this knowledge. Whatever it takes, He has promised He's going to take care. I'm not going to worry about it. It will be seen through it. Success is guaranteed with that kind of a thing. So this, whichever yoga path you take, this kind of positive, active surrender, when you have the freedom to do whatever, but yet to surrender to the Lord's will, that is true surrender. I can give up so many things. I can give up duties also. I can physically give up my body also. I can give up the teachings also. So much freedom God has given, and everything He has taught. And finally, what he says, Yatechasi tata kuru. He says to Arjuna, I've taught you everything. Now, whatever you want, you do. And what does Arjuna tell at the end after receiving all this knowledge? He says, Nashto moha smritir labdha. All my confusions are now gone. I have this memory, this knowledge now of who I am, what am I to do. Everything is very clear, spashta to me. Now what I am going to do is karishye vachanam taha. Whatever you have said, your will, I am going to follow. And that is the best form of surrender. That is the best form of surrender. And we can be free in that because God has promised, do not grieve. I will take care of everything. Moksha I will free you from all sins, means from all this lower nature. I cannot give up this body. No, I cannot give up my. You keep striving. I will take care of that. These things will fall off. This lower tendencies, whatever you have, these bondages, those sinful tendencies, those attachments. You strive, but they will fall off because I will take care. I will free you from those bondages. Okay, is Sarvadharman Parityajya, he says, give up. At the same time, he was saying, I will free you. So the wanting to give up, the true desire must be there. Earnestness must be there. Then he only actually, that giving up also is not possible by us. He only is actually delivering us. Those things get dropped or moved away by his will, by his doing alone. But that wanting should be there, no? That's why, Aram say a virumbu is said. Aram say also was not the instruction. Say a virumbu. The true earnestness to do something good. That is enough. One will do it. Like that, you should want to surrender to me alone, unswervingly, without getting attached to this lower things which keep distracting you. That true wanting, if it is there, the rest I will deliver you from all those things. Do not worry after that about what shall happen to my family or to this body or to this or that. Nothing else is to be worried about. Started with Nanu Shochanti Panditaha, and finally Ma Shocha, don't worry. Right? Very deep verse again, and a beautiful verse. When there is so much freedom of choice in the kind of yoga, in the kind of actions, in what attitudes we can wear, we can take up, so what thoughts we can entertain, so much freedom is there. But in all those choices, in all that freedom to understand wisely what is the right, the Nishreyasa, which Arjuna asked for and Bhagavan promised and Bhagavan delivered, to hold on to that, to truly want that, and surrender to that target, to that goal, to that altar. Giving up all these other choices, that freedom, and merging with the higher identity, the totality. That is what is true Sharanagati. Let's reflect and meditate upon this. Definitely the path will become clear. Yeah? Okay. We'll conclude today's session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om.